Everyone knows that to play a superhero character, you usually have to get pretty swole, but to really nail a comic book character role, you need to not just look the part, but be the part.
What about this then? This is what you sell things with, brother. It's what's up here that matters.
That's why a number of actors went full-on method for their roles to get themselves ready. And that's exactly what we're gonna look at here. And yes, a certain DC villain appears several times on this list. Let's face it, Chadwick Boseman was born to play King T'Challa, and there is no one in the world that we could imagine playing the part better. Boseman dove headfirst into the character, not only staying in amazing shape, a feat made even more impressive by the fact that he was going through chemotherapy treatment, but he would remain in character throughout the entirety of the shoot. In particular, Boseman would continue to use the Wakandan accent even when the camera stopped rolling, as he found it difficult to slip back into character. Director Joe Russo said, quote, "Chadwick is a very method actor. He shows up on set in character, stays in accent because he feels it's helpful for him to be transformative. For the entire run of the production, he spoke in that accent, whether he was on camera or not. He's that kind of actor. He has a very specific process. It's a very intense performance." End quote. See, the man truly was born to play the part. Boseman's on-screen rival in Black Panther, Michael B. Jordan, also used method acting techniques in order to get into the headspace for his character, Killmonger. Apparently, Jordan purposely shut down his emotions during filming and would isolate himself from those around him, including his friends and family, in order to put himself in a negative and bitter headspace. However, Jordan dove perhaps a little too deep into the head of Killmonger and found himself stuck in a dark place and had to have therapy in order to get himself out of it and back into his usual way of thinking. Even if you're more of a Maguire or a Garfield fan, there are few out there that would argue that Tom Holland is not a great Spider-Man. And the fact that the trained acrobat and gymnast can do the majority of his own stunts is definitely a big plus when it comes to playing the character. But seeing as Holland is actually from the UK and went to an all-boys school there, he missed out on the whole US high school experience like his character has. So he decided to go undercover in a real New York high school to get a feel for the character and the experience of what being a teenager in the Big Apple is actually like. Chris Evans also underwent similar preparation to play the part of Steve Rogers, with the actor visiting several veteran halls and speaking with veterans of all ages, and in particular, remaining World War II veterans to get perspective on the type of sacrifice, dedication, and loyalty they showed to each other during the war. Evans also incorporated military-style drills into his workout routine and would often run to cadences. Tom Hiddleston also did his fair share of research for the character of Loki, apparently reading into World War II spies who would often double and triple-cross their own countries and believe their own lies, a trait which Hiddleston believed Loki had. Hiddleston also remained in character on set, staying true to the god of mischief and pranking his fellow castmates. Of course, we couldn't do this video without talking about the Clown Prince of Crime and the actors who have played him. Starting off with one of the best performances of the character, if not all time. Heath Ledger was extremely committed to playing the Joker, and he went to great lengths in order to get into the character's demented headspace. Ledger reportedly locked himself away in a hotel room in London, completely isolated from the outside world with nothing but a diary to jot down his Jokerish thoughts, with the last page reading bye-bye, some knives, and a series of voices that he was experimenting with. His final voice, by the way, was likely based off of the gravelly tone of musician Tom Waits.
Depending on the time, he may be in one spot or several.
While the way he speaks, according to Nolan, was based off of ventriloquist dummies that he'd been studying because he found their voices terrifying. Ledger also threw himself physically into the role and egged Bale on to beat him during the whole interrogation scene, all of which culminated in one of the best performances of all time. Also, while we are talking about The Dark Knight, it's also worth mentioning that his co-star, Christian Bale, also threw himself into the role, in particular with his weight gain in order to play Batman, with the actor infamously going from a weight of 120 pounds for the movie The Machinist to 172 pounds for Batman Begins in less than 2 months. Bale would also remain in his American accent not only during filming the movie, but while it was in theaters, something which confused many people when he finally reverted back to his UK accent. Bale isn't the only DC actor to go through crazy weight changes for a role. Take, for example, Joaquin Phoenix, who lost 52 pounds for the role of Arthur Fleck in The Joker. Phoenix said that the weight loss actually helped him get into character, saying, quote, "I think that's really what I started with, and as it turns out, that then affects your psychology. You start to go mad when you lose that amount of weight in that amount of time," end quote. He also added that he used his hunger and new range of body movements to inform the role. For the trademark Joker laugh, Phoenix reportedly watched multiple videos of people who suffer from pathological laughter, a disorder marked by bursts of uncontrollable and inappropriate laughing. Love his performance or hate it, you cannot deny that Jared Leto didn't dedicate himself entirely to playing the Joker in the original Suicide Squad movie. His on-set antics have become well known online, with Leto basically harassing his co-stars by sending them condoms, anal beads, bullets, sticky Playboy magazines, dead pigs, and even a live rat to Margot Robbie. Leto even apparently spoke to shamans and holy men while prepping for the part, and during filming insisted that he only be referred to as Mr. J. Wouldn't it be a real shame if he went to all that effort only to have his performance massively cut down? Oh, wait. Like so many on this list, Hugh Jackman feels like he was born to play Wolverine, and it's hard to imagine anyone else filling those shoes down the line. When another actor does end up wearing those shoes though, they will find something bizarre taped to the bottom of it, a rock. That's because, in order to get into character, Jackman taped a rock to the inside of his shoe to be properly agitated during scenes and remind himself of Logan's tragic past and backstory. To get even more irritated while filming, he would start off the day with a nice cold shower as well as doing 100 clap push-ups on top of his already strenuous 3-hour workout routine. Might I suggest maybe just skipping having a morning coffee? I know that turns me into the Hulk, maybe that'll help there. Jackman also apparently grew out the iconic mutton chops for real and kept them for months after the movie had finished filming. Speaking of Jackman, he often found himself the target of Ryan Reynolds' jokes in Deadpool, and the two definitely have a brilliant love-hate relationship. While filming Deadpool, which had been a long-time dream of Reynolds, the Canadian remained in character as Wade Wilson and would hound fellow celebrities like Jackman online and apparently send members of the cast and crew teddy bears with the eyes cut out. Like so many on this list, it quickly became hard to tell where the line between Deadpool ended and Ryan Reynolds began, and to be honest, that's still the same to this day. On the subject of Reynolds, before Deadpool, the man had a habit of appearing in some of the worst comic book movies of all time. But another comic book movie people often forget he was in was the car crash that was Blade Trinity.
Superhero landing. You're gonna do a superhero landing. Wait for it!
With many of the cast and crew labeling it as a nightmare. There are a number of horror stories from the movie's production, which I highly recommend you look into when you get the chance. We got tension between Snipes and the movie's director, David S. Goyer, getting out of hand, with Goyer reportedly paying a gang of bikers to pretend to be his security after Snipes tried to strangle him after a misunderstanding between the two. Snipes would also talk about his co-stars in derogatory terms and would apparently only be on set when he absolutely had to. But the kicker is that he stayed in character throughout. According to Patton Oswalt, Snipes introduced himself to the actor as Blade, and Snipes, after his fallout with Goyer, would only communicate with the director through post-it notes and would sign off as Blade. While Snipes has since denied this behavior, you can kind of understand why Marvel decided that, it's probably best to recast the role for the MCU.
Moving on.
Seeing as we take every single chance we can get to talk about Nicolas Cage, oh, you bet we're gonna talk about him here. While Cage's role as Superman unfortunately never made it past the development phase, although it did thankfully make it to the screen test phase, Cage did end up playing a comic book character with Johnny Blaze in Ghost Rider. Cage is apparently somewhat of a method actor and employs a special acting technique he refers to as nouveau shamanic, a method that he says places him in a trance and allows him to channel the character that he's playing in a way that transcends acting. Cage used these techniques for Ghost Rider, saying, quote, "I would paint my face with black and white makeup to look like an Afro-Caribbean icon called Baron Samedi, or an Afro-New Orleans icon who is also called Baron Saturday. And I would put black contact lenses in my eyes so that you could see no white and no pupil, so I would look more like a skull or a white shark on attack," end quote. But he wasn't done there, adding to this by saying, quote, "On my costume, my leather jacket, I would sew in ancient, thousands of years old Egyptian relics and gather bits of tourmaline and onyx and would stuff them in my pockets to gather these energies together and shock my imagination into believing that I was augmented in some way by them or in contact with ancient ghosts. I would walk on the set looking like this, loaded with all these magical trinkets, and I wouldn't say a word to my co-stars or crew or directors. I saw the fear in their eyes, and it was like oxygen to a forest fire. I believed I was the Ghost Rider." End quote. Now, isn't that just the most Nicolas Cage thing that you ever did here? And let's give you a little bonus entry on the outro here. To play the role of Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox intentionally blinded himself during filming to be more authentic, saying that he had special lenses made that were identical to his eyes, but they completely blinded him. Now that's dedication.